I'm excited to talk about that, but before we do, I want to just take a second and show my support, our support, for writer, director, genius, Mr. James Gunn.
General, all-around great person,
great, wonderful
human
person.
being.
If you don't follow James Gunn on Instagram, you're missing out. He's hilarious. He's awesome. He is beloved by his entire cast and crew. And you all know the backstory. Disney fired James Gunn from Guardians 3
Fired him.
2 weeks ago at San Diego Comic-Con because of some tweets that he made 10 years ago.
Yep.
That he has since apologized for. He apologized 6 years ago for these things.
Right.
This was not news.
Nope.
This was just this ridiculous thing that came out of nowhere because some right-wing conservative group decided to dig it up. They were pissed at James Gunn for his anti-Donald Trump stance on social media, which you are perfectly within your rights to be pissed at your own president, people.
Absolutely.
Regardless of
the
fear of
freedom of
getting
speech.
fired by Disney.
Right?
So that's really what happened. This crazy alt-right group brought all this stuff to Disney's attention, and Disney did this fast, non-thinking thing and just fired him from a movie that is done, written. It was supposed to start production really soon. Sorry, I'm really pissed, and I'm kind of venting right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
You do it, Chuck.
I want to show my support, damn it. I love James Gunn. I think this thing is absolutely ridiculous.
And Disney knew what they were getting into when they hired James
Yes.
Gunn. He had already made the apologies. This guy worked for Troma Films, for
Right.
people. He wrote the movie Slither. They knew who he was.
Yeah. The Slither guy was offensive?
Yeah,
Get the
go
hell out of
figure.
here. You don't say. And another thing. Something that me and Shauna were talking about. Disney, if you're going to fire James Gunn for offensive and being offensive to others, you gotta look at your history of people
Right?
you've hired in the past. Let's just look at your animated stuff alone.
Yep, let's do that.
Aladdin. Gilbert Gottfried played the parrot in Aladdin.
Iago. Voice Iago in Aladdin.
One of the most offensive comedians on the planet.
That's right.
Hilarious. We love Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
We've met him. We've spoken to him. We've seen him live, and he's hilarious and
he
offensive
is
as
offensive.
hell.
Exactly, offensive as hell.
Half of his stand-up is about rape and pedophile and touching little kids, and but it's just. Wow, it sounds really bad when you say it out loud.
But it's comedy. I mean, you got to take it lightheartedly. You can't just fire him.
Society has no sense of humor anymore, damn it.
So, based on your firing of James Gunn, I think you just need to pull Aladdin off the shelves. Cause
While you're pulling things off the shelves, let's pull Mulan off the shelves while we're at it. Eddie Murphy played that little dragon in Mulan, and you want to talk about an offensive stand-up comedian? Back in the 80s, every other thing out of fucking Eddie Murphy's mouth was something bashing the homosexual community or Mr. T.
Yep. Mr. T.
I mean, everything was an offensive joke.
Very offensive.
Back in the day with Eddie Murphy, but you still hired him.
That's
You
right.
never fired him. Nobody gives a rat's ass about things he said
Nope.
10 years ago.
I got another one for you.
Which one?
Let's pull Pocahontas off the shelf. You know why?
No.
Because Mel Gibson voiced John Smith in
Mel
Pocahontas.
Gibson.
Mel Gibson. Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry. The alt-right group loves Mel Gibson.
That's right.
He made Passion of the Christ.
That's right. Good point.
Never mind.
He gets a
They're not
pass.
going to call him out.
Mel Gibson never said anything offensive his entire life.
No, not at all.
So that's what? We're up to 3? Should we go for 4?
We could.
Robin Williams wasn't exactly the most
Yeah.
clean-cut comedian on the
Love
planet.
Robin Williams to death.
We haven't gone and pulled Aladdin off the shelf. Again, Aladdin was chock full of offensive people, and nobody cared. And that's your animated kids' movies.
Right.
This is Guardians of the Galaxy. This is a grown-up crowd. Now, again, we're not backing... I'm not saying it's okay. The things that he said were incredibly offensive.
Sure.
But you can't go comparing them to things like Roseanne. Everybody's making the Roseanne comparison, and it's just not even a comparison.
Roseanne called out an individual, and it was obviously racist.
Yeah.
James Gunn's tweets were not racist by any means.
Roseanne was showing her current beliefs as a human being.
Right.
And that's who she is. James Gunn, this is something that he did 10 years ago. He has since profusely apologized about it. 6 years ago he apologized about it. Disney hired him anyway. And then you up and fire him because some people might get it. It's a comment on society as a whole right now. I am really starting to vent, and I don't want this to go too far, but society, as you all know, everybody knows this, but nobody wants to say it, just that we're getting way too easily offended. We're too afraid to piss one person off that you ruin somebody's career.
There's going to be no more comedy
Essentially
left
out
in
of
the
nothing.
world
Yeah.
at the
What
end
is
of the
comedy
day.
if it's not, it's just like any other art. I mean, the most offensive comedians are the ones that live on forever.
Look at George Carlin.
George Carlin, offensive as hell to all religious groups. I mean, just every comedian out there.
Yep. So, anyway, go to change.org.
Sign the petition.
Sign the petition. Get James Gunn hired back. James Gunn, we love you. We're here for you. So is your cast and crew. You'll get the job back, buddy.
That's right. Moving on.
Yes.
Somebody else I really love, Mr. Tom Cruise, recently...
Not offensive whatsoever.
No, everybody
Happiest guy on the planet.
Everybody loves Tom Cruise in this house.